I have done a couple of episodes now of the BMW Motorrad offerings when it comes to naked motorcycles. For example, the entry level, the G310R. It's a little 310cc motor, naked motorcycle. We had a look at the F900R, a 900cc naked motorcycle. Then the bigger boxer motored R1250R with the boxer shift cam motor, also stunning naked motorcycle. Then we had a look at the hyper naked in the M1000R. And now here, I think the last one in the series of BMW's offering when it comes to naked motorcycles would be this one behind me, which I could call a super naked. Reason I call it a super naked, it is the sibling to the superbike, the S1000RR, and it's named the S1000R. BMW haven't just dropped the fairings and made a naked out of their superbike. No, they've reworked this bike, looked at it. The wheelbase is different, the ergonomics, the handlebars, the foot pegs, everything is different. Even the power of the motors in a completely different state of tune. So let's have a look at this stunning bike behind us, review it in more detail, and go for a ride on it. Looking at this BMW S1000R in this Hockenheim silver in front of us here, I think the color suits this motorcycle. Love the graphics, that contrast. Brilliant motorcycle, just looks brilliant. Doesn't this awaken the daredevil in you? Don't you just want to pop a wheelie or do a stoppie, put this bike on its front wheel? I mean, the lines are so aggressive, so edgy. I must say, futuristic, looks brilliant. Love the color combination. Brilliant motorcycle. Now, to talk about the S1000R is the naked. The double R is the superbike, and the R, the naked bike, was first launched in 2014. Now, the R borrows the engine, gearbox, frame, and suspension from its sibling, the RR superbike. Now, in 2019, I think the RR got the facelift, so a year after 2020, this S1000R got its facelift. And BMW is quite bold in saying they did not follow the horsepower race as the opposition does with the 200 horsepower. Yes, the superbike, the RR, does produce 200 plus horsepower. I think it's 205 horsepower. And this bike, even though it has the borrowed engine, it is a completely different state of tune. You're talking about 165 horsepower. And that is, you forsake the horsepower for a road-friendly, prioritizing practicality type of motorcycle, which this is. Besides that, it is a much lighter motorcycle than the RR. You're talking nearly 12 kilos. I think it's 11.8 kilos lighter than the RR. And this model is also 6.5 kilos or nearly 7 kilos lighter than its predecessor. So you've got weight saving, you've got a rideable motor. And besides that, you've got different geometry. You've got shorter wheelbase, different rake, it's more agile, it turns quicker, smaller turning circle, tighter. You've got lower foot pegs, a flatter, wider seat, wide handlebars that are adjustable as well. So this is not just a S1000RR superbike with a drop fairing. This is complete reworked motorcycle and absolutely stunning in my book. Now, just to recap on our naked series, we started with the G310R naked, then the F900R naked, then we had a look at the boxer motor, the R1250R boxer naked, then the hyper naked in the M1000R, which unfortunately I didn't get to ride. But then here we have the super naked, what I call the S1000RR. And to recap what those letters mean in front, the G stands for a single piston. The F would be a parallel twin for BMW. The R always designates a boxer motor. And the S, as per this, would be an inline 4-cylinder motor. And now we all know what an M means. That's the sports package. So this being the S, let's talk more about the motor on this bike. As mentioned, it borrows the motor from its bigger sibling, the RR, so you have a 999cc liquid-cooled inline 4-cylinder, double overhead cam, 4 valves per cylinder, Euro 5. However, different state of tune. No longer the 205 horsepower, you have the 165 horsepower, which is 121 kilowatts at 11,000 RPM. Torque is 114 newton meters at 9,250 RPM. Now, this all goes through a wet multi-plate clutch with slipper function, 6-speed gearbox, final drive chain. Then, if you go to suspension, top kit, you've got Marzocchi's front and back, upside down 45mm Marzocchi's at the back, the monoshock, single shock Marzocchi at the back, fully adjustable front and back. When it comes to brakes, have a look at this. You have the dual disc of 320mm up front, and you have the Brembo calipers 4-piston radial. At the back, you've got a 220mm disc with a single piston brake caliper Brembo as well. So Marzocchi's, Brembo's, proper kit. This particular bike, the standard version, wheels 17-inch front and back, the cast aluminium wheels, shod with a 120 and a 190. Now, when I say the standard option, if you go for the M package, you get the carbon wheels, and then you also have the 120 front, also 17-inch front and rear. However, you don't get a 190, you get a 200 wheel at the back. Seat height, 831 millimeters, super practical. Both my feet are flat on the ground, knees are bent. It's comfy, and as mentioned, wider seat. Fuel capacity on this bike, 17.5 liters with a 4-liter reserve. Now, as I mentioned earlier, the weight saving this bike is 199 kilos full wet weight, 178 dry weight. So all around, I think this is a bit of a standalone bike when it comes to the super naked category, because it doesn't play with the others when it comes to the 200 horsepower. However, in my opinion, having ridden this morning, it is way more practical in everyday use. And I think that was BMW's approach, is this bike will get a lot more mileage on it than your RR would, because you will use it way more than just as a weekend warrior or a track weapon. Now, the next benefit of this super naked would be that it gets to share a lot of the electronics from its bigger sibling, the RR. So you have the full LED lighting right around this bike. Standard, you have the 3 rider modes, rain, road, dynamic, the option, the dynamic pro. You have your 6-axis sensor IMU for the ABS Pro and the dynamic traction control, your BMW 6.5-inch full color TFT display, one of the best in the business, your adjustable handlebars that you can rotate, gives you a bit more height, or to the back. You have your wheelie control, you have your hill start, and your engine braking management. Your options would include your dynamic pro rider mode, as mentioned before, your cruise control, your heated grips, your M spec colors, your carbon wheels, your acropovic pipe as per the M series, and your lighter battery and different chain as per your M package. Just to look at the 3 different packages you get, where a lot of your additionals or options are spec'd. Your 3 packages would be dynamic package, your comfort package, and exclusive package. What that means, your dynamic package would include your DDC electronic suspension, your dynamic pro rider mode, pro gear shift, in short, quick shifter, and your engine spoiler at the bottom. Your comfort package would be the keyless, the USB, and the cruise control option. Your exclusive M package is the top of the range, with your carbon wheels front and back, your M colors, your acropovic pipe, your lighter lithium M battery, and a lot of M performance parts thrown at the motorcycle. Should I peg this against opposition? If you can, I mean, you talk about Ducati Street Fighter V4S, you talk about a KTM 1290 Super Duke, Kawasaki ZH2 maybe, or the Aprilia Tuono V4. However, A lot of the names I've just mentioned, you're talking about real horsepower race motorcycles, more in the league of the superbike. And I think this is where I have to agree, after having ridden this morning with BMW, make this Naked more of a rideable everyday road bike, because you have absolutely no wind protection. So doing 300 k's an hour makes no sense at all. And just commuting, sitting upright, comfortable, and still being able to hit just shy of 260 kilometers an hour is absolutely plenty. I think this sort of covers the specs and all about the bike and its history and what it's all about, this Super Naked S1000R BMW. But I think now is the time where the fun factor starts. Enough talking, let's jump on and go for a ride, and just let me explain to you why I think this is spot on with slightly detuned 160 horsepower. Now I must say, my first impression of this bike would be really user-friendly. That's the only way to describe it. Completely rideable and user-friendly. Now your perception is, you think of the BMW S1000RR, so you think the S1000R, the naked version, shares the same engine, shares a lot of the same componentry, whether it's frame, suspension. So you do think superbike, 200 horsepower plus, you think crazy power. However, the first impression when getting on and riding this bike is really user-friendly, road-friendly, and commuter-friendly. This motor is very rideable. It's not scary. It's not like on-off. You have to be at high RPMs. So, fantastic motor. Everyday use. Perfect mix. So it definitely does make sense that BMW, for this everyday, more user-friendly bike, changed the power curve, torque curve of this motor from 205 down to 165 horsepower. I think that's spot on. I mean, 165 is still plenty enough to make you lose your license, get jailed, locked up for that. However, the rideability of this motor is the first thing I noticed on the bike, and fantastic. Definitely not drawn in and sucked in by some of the competitors, KTM, Ducati, Street Fighter, Super Dukes, to enter the horsepower race, which is very easy to do. All the manufacturers, they know what they can do. They have engineers, they can push the limits. However, BMW refrained from that and produced something rideable, something sensible with this bike. And that is pretty much the first thing that I noticed. And as you can see, commuting, splitting lanes, this very much an everyday riding bike. Perfect. I'm sitting fairly upright, leaning forward a little bit. It's so slight that I would not say you would get fatigue in the lower back or forearms or wrists. It's very slight leaning forward. However, it can draw you in, suck you in to lean over the handlebars, shift your weight out and put the knee on the ground, slide your knees. It can definitely draw you into that game. However, definitely what they speak about with these flatter, wider handlebars, more upright, lower foot pegs, it's more relaxed on the legs. Your knees fit in under this ridge really nicely. If you have a look here, how your thighs and knees fit underneath here, your thighs slope down, your knee is not bent so that you cut off circulation to your feet. It is very comfortable. The difference between sitting completely upright and leaning forward a little bit, my upper body shifts maybe 10 centimeters max. Handlebars nice and wide, very little input required to counter steer. Bike is nimble. I think the rake has been changed because it's a shorter wheelbase, this to the 1000RR. So all round a fantastic usable bike. First impressions, and the power, controllable, bordering on docile in lower RPMs. I mean, I've been riding it between 2,000 and 4,000 RPMs. It doesn't splutter, it runs nicely on the torque curve and pulls out nicely. So nothing intimidating, nothing scary. I'm on Dynamic Pro rider mode, However, if you do roll it on, nice progressive, but it does build some serious speed. And here we go to some ludicrous, superbike 1000RR performance again. So 165 horsepower, definitely plenty horsepower. You're not going to be wanting more unless you go put it on a track and you're an extremely competent rider. Very quickly get to illegal speeds with this motorcycle, and exhilarating. So you have the best of both worlds, and this has been the story of the Nakeds. I mean, Nakeds are, from pure looks, they are super cool looking bikes, and practicality, yes, the only thing is wind protection. You have none on this bike, but you offset the good looks against that. It's just a fantastic motorcycle. It's the freedom, it's the whole spirit of motorcycling, being out in the air, open air, unprotected, and all round. If you're going to be racing and running around like that 80% of the time, yes, the RR is your bike for you. But if you have more of a bike that you're going to be use a lot more on a daily basis, not just as a weekend warrior, canyon carver, an all-round bike, this is the better option of the two. You're not as hunched forward, not the clip-on handlebars, the wider handlebars, very nimble, as you can see, very flickable. It has the steering damper, so you're looked after. It has all the bigger siblings, electronics, rider aids. What more? You have the big TFT, the dash is stunning, the rearview mirrors, they are stable. I do sometimes see my elbows, but I might have to adjust them. If I just flip the elbow in, I can see properly, and it's just a fantastic motorcycle. What can I say? You have the best of both worlds. You have a super bike that you, if you go to a track day, you can really wring its neck and thrash it around. Yet if you want to commute to work and back at these speeds, commuting speeds, legal speeds, it's perfect. It is a fairly windy day today, and it is quite chilly, but at legal speed limits, it's not the biggest of problems. I must say, it's a bike that is not on the scale of wow, for example, an M1000. However, it's everything and more. What we're going to do is do a bit of a roll on. You can see with both feet I can still flick it around. My feet are flat, knees are bent, comfortable. If I give it some, as you can see, exhilarating. It has plenty stonk, and it is a bike that you would also need a little bit of restraint. But what I'm saying is that it's just comfortable to use every day. It's practical, and this motor, it doesn't jump from one to the other, from docile and commuting to super aggressive and wild. It just builds. So if you want to cruise around at lower RPMs, or if you want to ride briskly, or if you want to commute really fast, or if you want to go to a track day, the transition from one to the other is just, it's linear, it's progressive, it's not on or off. So it's a fantastic blend, super practical bike. That is definitely the plus point of this machine. Good looks, I mean, 10 out of 10 for that one. I love the color combination with the graphics on this motorcycle, the aggressive looks with the headlights, the Naked series. So again, with the whole Naked series, BMW has an offer for everyone, starting for entry level with a G310R. You have the F900R, all fantastic, brilliant BMW motorcycles. Then you go to the boxer naked in the R1250R. You have the super naked, which this one is, and then you go all the way to the hyper naked in the M1000R. You have everything. I need to behave. This is just drawing me in a little bit too much. So BMW has you covered. Whatever you want on the all-round, this would be my choice. I never got to ride the M1000R, unfortunately. However, the practicality stakes, the R1250R boxer motor definitely has that, like my GS Adventure has. Stunning motor, really rideable. However, for a seasoned guy who's been riding 20 years, 30 years, and you want to have a sports bike on weekends, this definitely gives you a little bit more than the boxer motor, although the new 1250 boxer shift cams of today are pretty quick motorcycles. This, however, different league. I enjoy it. It has the stunning TFT, clean display. All the controls are very much BMW. You ride at home, you have this wonderful little selector wheel on the side. This bike has heated grips over here, all the luxuries. You've got your cruise control up here. You can toggle through your menu. And brilliant motorcycle. Here we go. Leaning forward a little bit. Oh, as you can see, I'm struggling to behave. It doesn't feel too firm, really. It's a firm seat, but in a slightly different position to the 1000RR. It's more relaxed and very sporty, but not too hard. And general ergonomics, where my legs are, feet are, extremely comfortable motorcycle. I could ride this for a couple of hours. Finding neutral in this box, easy as pie. As per BMW, it's a stunning smooth gearbox, little movement all round. I don't know where to fault this. I really like the graphics on the black bars over here. Gives it a really racy look about it, bit of a dragster style. Gearbox is smooth, brakes are strong, the clutch has a soft feel to it. Here you go, the gearbox really smooth. Tiny inputs needed on the gear lever. You can short shift. There's plenty torque on this motor, already in 6th gear before you hit 80 kilometers an hour. Comfortable. You can run this thing on low RPMs, fuel economical, or you can give it horns and go absolutely wild. Best of both worlds. When it comes to stopping power, again, BMW putting Brembos on the front, this being one of the flagship naked ones, having proper stoppers. The wind, I must say, you definitely do feel it. I might be speaking a little bit louder because there's no wind protection to speak about, but this is the fun of nakeds. You have the sensation of speed, although these BMWs are pretty good at hiding the sensation of speed. You don't quite know that you're that far over the legal limits, but the whole combination of good looks, freedom, openness, easy to handle, yeah. You can see the throttle. You can roll on, be very progressive, even in Dynamic Pro. It is not snatchy. If I go to rain mode, here we are on road mode. Now I'm in road. It has calmed everything down a little bit, and even more comfortable for day-to-day use. There's no slack on that throttle. As you roll it, you can definitely feel the power build. It is smooth, but road is a bit more docile and a bit more gentle. And just one button over here, mode, push once, road, dynamic, and throttle on, throttle off, and it is selected. I have dynamic. And then the most sporty of the lot, I go in again, I have Dynamic Pro selected up here, Dynamic Pro, and that is the sportiest of them. Fantastic dash, one of the best in the business. I always compliment BMW on that. Again, 6.5-inch TFT, full color, reflection. Have a look at that matte screen. There is no reflection on the screen. All your information really well displayed, speed, RPMs. On the sound side of things, if I open my visor here, it's a brilliant sound that just gives you goosebumps, makes you want to ride. Clutch operation, it is gentle. You can definitely see Dynamic Pro is where action happens, the business end of things. The stoppers, let's have a look at the Brembos again. You have ABS, so you can confidently grab a handful and stop this puppy. Lane splitting, handlebars are wide, not too wide, with the mirrors tucked in pretty much same width as the bike. So for lane splitting, handlebars are not too wide. You can alter them forward and back a little bit and raise them, because it is a flat bar, has a little bit of a kink, so you can rotate it a little bit for height, length of arms. Super practical. And here we go again. As you can see, it is drawing me in quite regularly to rev it up and play, because it's an exciting motor. All round, I must say, this is a fantastic motorcycle from looks, feel, rideability, practicality. It's all-in-one package. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this little ride and review of the last of BMW's naked offerings that I've done. And if you enjoyed this episode, guys, please hit that like button, give me a thumbs up, and most important, guys, please hit that subscribe button to help me build a channel. And if you like, the reminder bell so you know when I'm uploading new content.